Speaking of people you wouldn't wish things upon, it's very hard to buy a house in Sydney. We know that the median house price now is $1.6 million in Sydney. But Finder, the comparison website, has gone off and crunched some numbers about if you're a single person, how much money you need and how long you need to save in order to buy a median house in Sydney working in certain jobs. And they worked out that if you're a nurse, a teacher, a vet, a bricklayer and a bunch of other jobs, it'll take you about 52 years, if you're a single person, to save up for a 20% deposit. This is from the story today. It says the data found it can take as long as 52 years for a single buyer in these professions to put down a 20% deposit on a median Sydney property valued at $1.6 million. Social workers, psychologists and plumbers were also in the 52-year club, while dentists and engineers could take as long as 42 years. Now, these numbers are based on the entry-level wage, so you would like to think that you'd get pay rises as you go along. But it does illustrate a point. Even if, 52 and 42 years may be a bit extreme, it raises a serious point that if you are a single person trying to buy a property in Sydney, unless you are on an exceptional wage, it's almost impossible, because it's hard enough for two people, a married couple on an average wage each, to club the money together to go and buy a house. How you would ever do it if you lived on your own, I do not know.
Well, I think it's just another lesson to young people. Get out there, fall in love and get married, because in Sydney these days you kind of have to be to survive financially. But it's true, right? Like that, if you are a single person, I don't know how you'll ever do it if you're working an average job with an average wage. And that's a sad reality. And we need to, of course, build more houses, but we have to bring down immigration, because clearly there is something fundamentally wrong with the supply and demand equation in Australia's housing market.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a story actually earlier this week that more women are going after rich men. So maybe that's what you've got to do. You've got to find yourself, what they call a sugar daddy. Isn't that the terminology?
Why are you asking me?
I was addressing both of you, to be fair. No, I'm absolutely joking. That would not be my advice. But look,
do what you want. It's a free country.
I'm just saying. Look, it is really hard. And when you think, even if you are a single person, rent is so high in Sydney as it is that a lot of your salary ends up going towards your rent plus all of your bills. So I agree, Freya. This is go find a husband. If this is not the push you need to get out there, then
let me know how you go on sugardaddy.com.
Well, if you can't find a husband, just contact us and we'll happily arrange a marriage for you.
Jeez.
What? Eligible bachelors.
This is a side service. Well, Freya's found a way to make a couple of extra bucks.
There you go. Speaking of a couple of extra bucks, let's talk about electric vehicles. They're very expensive, aren't they? I don't know how you feel about them. But how do you feel about the concept of driverless cars? Look, personally, I don't know, but here's one example that could be coming to Australia anytime soon, because a Cadillac sub-brand is in the midst of launching as an EV-only brand in Australia using this autonomous driving technology. Now, I don't know if you've both seen, but this is actually big in Los Angeles at the moment. They're using ride-sharing services and they're all driverless. I don't like it. What happens if this car breaks down in the middle of the road? You've got no driver. You don't know what buttons to push. That's my concern with these vehicles. I don't like them. I don't like EVs, full stop. I think they're a complete waste of time. But a driverless car, no thanks. I want to be in control.
No, I think this is the best thing ever.
Really?
I think most car crashes come from human error. People falling asleep at the wheel, driving under the influence, being distracted by their phone. If you can get people off the wheel, it's probably safer for everyone else on the road.
So now we're going to have robot error is going to cause all the crashes. Yeah. What if the guy who programs the car doesn't like me and then he makes it so it crashes and I die?
Well, don't get a Chinese driverless car would be my one recommendation.
What if it malfunctions?
Exactly. Anything could be hacked. I'm not sure.
I'm sure you'd have a manual override. I'm sure. But anyway, that will be very, very exciting. And it is already, as you mentioned, Danica, being used quite successfully in Los Angeles. But